American Garbage.
Your bed. This over here?
Now it's your turn.
Welcome to American Garbage. Thanks for coming.
Now you do me.
So I just have to say that American garbage is the best garbage in the world. It's possible we will be able to solve the world hunger problem, I think, with recycling of garbage, especially American garbage, which you can almost live off. And now I have to just say that this show was a long-time dream of mine. I started saving garbage a year ago and was thinking about this, thinking that I was going crazy, turning into a hoarder. And you know what? It wasn't true. So yeah, when I made the announcement to 10 different artists that that I wanted to do a show called American Garbage, it seemed like everybody was really interested in doing it. So then I got the confidence to go ahead and assemble these people who had been either working with trash or thought about the concept of garbage in terms of the discarded human soul, or the mother as a dish rag, protecting its young from all things that are dirty and filthy. And so what else did I want to say? I wanted to say that we can do better with this recycling business. That obviously, this is all mostly recyclable stuff that I saved and sculpted into, fashioned into like an ice cream cone kind of delicious meal. And honestly, much of this stuff could wind up in the regular garbage and nobody would give a hoot. And just look at this packaging on a toy, for example. It's both cardboard and plastic. What do you do with that? Many, many, many times this will wind up going straight to the landfill. And I happen to know that in other countries, they reuse everything to the point where like it's completely disintegrated. Excuse me, I get so excited. And things like paper bags or even saran wrap gets recycled in places like Brazil or other countries where, you know, they might not have as much wealth in the general population. Anyway, that's enough from me. In filming myself several trips to the garbage every day for like 7 months. I filmed myself going to the trash can and just stuff that regular Americans just toss in the trash. Copious trash. And I tried to make it a little bit funny, but you know, I think the bottom line is that it's a little bit sad, you know. And one thing that happened to me in this process was I was thinking about, wow, you know, how much plastic does a family of 5 recycle? How much stuff do we recycle? A lot. But at the same time, so much stuff ends up still going in the regular garbage, which then very much of it winds up in the ocean. And I had stumbled upon by accident the video about the plastic collecting in the Pacific Southwest, an area that is 2 times the size of Texas, which has collected up, and it's mostly bottle caps from beverage bottles. And what I thought would be a really smart idea is if the beverage production company, the people that make beverage bottles, were to take all their money and put it into cleaning up the ocean, and we refigured out how to distribute drinks, we could save a lot of money and help save the environment. I know that's like totally an artistic idea, but I was a kid, 7 or 8 years old, when we were thirsty, when we were doing sports, in 90-degree weather, what did you do? You went to the drinking fountain. You went home and you got a glass of water.
Cessna, and these are 5 collages that I created for American Garbage. And basically what I do is I hoard New York Post headlines and covers and magazines and old pictures, and I rip things off of the street that other people would just assume don't mean anything. I take little bits of garbage, little pieces of scrap, and then I mix them all together within these things. And I don't really ever have a theme, although most of the time there are photographs that I take that are within the actual collages. I just like to make a point out of reusing things and having things that are kind of a little bit layered upon layered. And sometimes weird things happen that you don't even realize. Like on this one, when I was doing these images by my friend Scooter LaForge, I didn't realize that I had put a headline that said "Scoot to Kill" over it. So that's just a weird coincidence. It also has a sticker that he gave me. So sometimes I use things that people give me, sometimes I mix it all up, sometimes there's images of me as a child, and then sometimes there'll be little snippets of people in my life, like people like Eric that come into my life and, you know, starts one day as a model and then all of a sudden is kind of part of the family out of nowhere after a couple of days. Other images are images from photographs that I've taken that I remanipulate and kind of fuck around with. And then things that people give me, like my friend Nick gave me this drawing, and once again Scooter gave me these, and these are shoes. I'm obsessed with drawing shoes since I'm a kid. And, you know, just mixing little influences and things. I also like to play with words, so especially this one in particular is my favorite out of all of these, because I think the word imagery and, you know, the way it layers is really kind of good and everything. And it's such a different departure from what I normally do, taking pictures and, you know, being in a different person's energy and realm for like 3 hours a day, and, you know, having that moment where I share that energy is totally different from this, because this I'm on my own and I'm completely alone, and, you know, it's very, in a weird way, therapeutic. So this collage in particular was one that came from several pieces that I had ripped apart and thrown away, and then were taken back out of the garbage and then found on the street, and, you know, things like this sticker, things that people had written in notebooks of mine that I forgot about. Images that I had thrown away and then ripped out again. You know, basically it's just the sense of reusing and reusing and reusing, and then ripping it up and making it look as trashy as possible, and just making everything look as if it's something that people normally wouldn't treasure, but that to me, the throwaway quality is what makes it, you know, fantastic, or trash-tastic, as they say.
There's 2 pieces in the show. One is douchebags rewarded for corporate cocksucking. And in the parentheses, it's a portrait of John Roberts, the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. And the second piece is lowermybills.com, which is the kind of more jumbled, crazy looking one. Mm-hmm. The contemporary existence kind of exists where you're just collecting, especially in New York, which is such a dense urban population. You're just walking around and you're constantly inundated with imagery, with advertising, with stuff you don't necessarily care about or want to be a part of, but it's thrown at you. And a lot of the imagery in both the drawings in the show have this kind of randomness that relates to contemporary, you know, urban existence, and also collage, more like Dadaist collage. And I think a lot of the aesthetic comes from that, and comes from punk rock posters and like flyers. There's imagery in that drawing that relates to these kind of sleazy bank ads where they're trying to be your friend. You know, you go to the ATM and they're like trying to be very friendly to you, and it's just gross because you're like, you're a fucking bank.
Nice white teeth.
Yeah, the whole thing, and just that, how that advertising clashes with, you know, the use of sex in advertising, pop stuff. A lot of that, all of it's kind of mixed together.
Hi, I'm Debbie Davies, and this is my work in American Garbage. These pictures were taken at the Eastern State Penitentiary, a defunct prison in Philadelphia, whose most famous prisoner was Al Capone. I happened upon it in a trip through Philadelphia, I'm not a professional photographer, but I went in and was just drawn to the beauty of this place. The decay, the mood. It was a cold day, so the prison was cold. The reason I thought that my work at Eastern State Penitentiary would be relevant for the American Garbage exhibit is because of our country's attitudes towards prisoners, towards fellow human beings. When we feel they are no longer important or useful, we relegate them to prisons and pretty much leave them there to rot. It's pretty much living out the rest of their lives in a dumpster. And one more thing. This country is going green, which is great. Everything's eco-friendly. And we really want to recycle and reuse and upcycle our objects. But what do we do about people? When are we going to actually decide to reuse and repurpose human beings?
It's called Yours, and that comes from the fact that all of this stuff is garbage that I found, and it's not mine. It's all yours.
Cool. All right. So tell me, what was the motivation behind this piece, this whale?
Well, I was surfing a lot at Rockaway Beach, and I found a lot of garbage there, and it upset me, and I decided to start picking it up just to clean it up, and then eventually just started to, I collected the garbage and chose kind of choice pieces that you see here, and started building something. I needed to build something out of it, and the idea comes from the American Museum of Natural History up on 81st Street or something. It's the classic battle between the squid and the whale. So we have this squid which is strangling the beaches, and which is all the plastic from the beach, and the whale which is entirely recycled stuff from my studio. So we have the classic battle going on, and it's actually fairly optimistic, because if you know anything about those battles, the whale always wins. Right. So I think if we stop screwing with it, homeostasis will take over. So,
Nature is bigger than all of us.
much bigger than all of us.
So I didn't know that. So actually the whale itself is made of all biodegradables.
No, it's made out of what I call recycled stuff.
Oh,
So,
I see. Stuff that's already been recycled.
Stuff that's been used once, and my intention was to recycle it.
Oh.
This was stuff that was just found as garbage.
Oh.
Like in here are all the waters and sodas I drank.
Mm-hmm.
In here is every disgusting piece of garbage I used for the entire year of 2009 in my art studio. So that's all intentional garbage, intentional recyclables, accidental.
Right.
This stuff is yours.
Got it.
That stuff was mine, this stuff is yours.
Oh, I see. That's fascinating.
So I say go whale.
Monster Island is a piece that I created, and I feel like it relates to the Monster Island we have here in Manhattan. It's known as Staten Island. Staten Island actually is filled with garbage, and you can actually see photos of the dump sites on Staten Island from space. So I created Monster Island in I kind of related it to Staten Island, because you can see piles and piles of garbage in space, and that's how I related it to American Garbage. I used old teddy bears, butterflies, a lot of garbage that could be found in dump sites to create this beautiful painting, and I was kind of inspired by Staten Island.
End of message. To delete this message, press 7.
All right. Christopher Stribley. Anna Wintour by Christopher Stribley. The title is Trashionista. Go.
Hi, my name is Jim McDonnell, and this is my part of American Garbage. And what I really wanted to focus on was what is contained within garbage, whether that be my own reflection or the containers that hold garbage, because in the end we are all garbage and we all turn to dust. That's it.
Ashes to ashes. That good art should save the world.